Hello.
Hel- Hello, hello, Tanya. How are you today?
I'm fantastic today. How are you, Mo?
I'm okay. All right, everyone. Here's another segment from or by Intuitive Perceptions, and I have a very, very special guest with me today. One of my, let's not tell anyone, favorite readers on YouTube. But yeah, I have a very special guest with me today, and we have a very important topic that we would like to discuss. And this topic is, I presented it to Tanya, and she so graciously was on board with me regarding recording this segment for you guys. So what we're going to be talking about or discussing a little bit today is binge watching tarot readings online. So how about we start with, maybe would you like to share maybe a little bit of your experience really quick, Tanya, regarding because I remember you said you had a very profound experience regarding this, and that's why this topic really kind of set with you in your
Yes,
heart.
I did, and it's something I feel very strongly about. I work online. That is where people see me and see my readings. But I, in the past, became kind of hooked on these, and hooked on psychic readings and things like that. Quite a long time ago. Things in my life weren't settled, and I was looking for answers, which I believe a lot of us are.
Absolutely.
And there's so many things are accessible now. I mean, we have online, we have phone lines. It's basically every magazine you get. There is
Yes.
something there says, and when you are desperately looking, like we are, then we go in a lot of different areas looking for that. And sometimes I believe it can be quite unhealthy as well. And
Yes.
this is why I know a lot of other readers like myself. We don't encourage dependence. My readings, personally, the way I work is I try to empower people. That's it. The answers
Me
are
too.
always within ourselves, and it's about how to look within. And I think
Absolutely.
that is something that I think my experience in the past has not made me a better reader, but I kind of have the empathy now. So I know within my readings I need to go deep, because I don't want somebody to put the phone down from me or turn the Skype off from me and then feel that they need to go and seek validation or answers from somebody else
Hmm.
because I haven't answered the questions with them. So in a way, it was a massive learning tool, which, I think every experience we have is. But I also feel that now there is that much out there, and it confuses people, and it disempowers people. And this is where I feel very strongly. I think one of the best things is to find a reader that you resonate with. It could be your sun, moon, or rising sign, and if you resonate with that reader, then listen to that one. But know that, us as psychics, or readers, we're not God. We're good, but we're not God. So
Yes.
unless we are reading for that particular person, because I feel very strongly about this as well. We have, when we do readings online, on different platforms, they're not personal, they're general readings. So even though
Yes.
you might resonate with something that is said, the only way a reader can tune into your energy, and read for your personal situation, is to get a private reading with them. There's some fantastic, I was just listening to one this morning, because I listen to them. I love listening to other people, and it resonated so well with somebody who I followed for quite some time, and I know that they're kind of on the same vibration as me as well. So,
Yes.
I take the information, but I don't see it as a personal reading. It's like, all right, okay, that was interesting. I'll hold that bit of knowledge or that bit of advice, but I know that that was not meant directly for me, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. And I mean, you hit on a lot of great points, regarding them being general readings, them being
Yeah.
just, it's the collective energy, and especially when it comes to, I mean, not to discredit any other readers, because we will all
No.
touch who it is that we need to touch, or whoever comes to us. There's
Yes.
always a purpose for this type of work, and or these types of situations. But one thing is very important too, is like, especially readers like me, you, a couple other readers, I don't want to say anyone else's names, but you know, me, especially me and you, we channel through information. We channel the collective
Yes.
consciousness. So when it comes to that, it's the overall overarching theme that's going on with, let's say, Virgos, for instance, because me and you are a Virgo sun, where it's Virgos.
I've just done Virgo for September today. I've just done it. It was a really
I still
good
have
one.
to record mine, but yeah, I'm a little worried about that. But hey, we'll leave that to the future. But yes, absolutely. I mean, the points that you made were absolutely 100%. And I mean, and you know, we have to also remind the viewers as well, you know, that they shouldn't take it so personal. Things aren't going to completely resonate. That's why a personal reading is 100%, you know, suggested. And I mean, and even then, sometimes I look at, you know, some of the comments that I receive, and a lot of them are beautiful, you know, and I mean, I connect so well with my subscribers and clients and of the sort. But I mean, sometimes I'll put like a certain reading out that's just, you know, a regular channeled collective consciousness, you know, month reading, and they're like, oh my God, this resonated with me so much. And I'm just like, now imagine a personal reading.
Imagine can you imagine what that's going to be like? Or then you get people saying, well, this didn't make sense, and it's well this reading is not for you, you know. This like I say, I think we really need to home in on the general. And what I find happens as well with a lot of people, and I found this with my flatmate, bizarrely. I mean, my flatmate has never been into tarot or anything. When she moved in with me, she started listening to it, and what she said, she's now stopped, because she said, I was getting too confused. The conflicting advice in different readers, you know, different things that were being said, and she was taking the whole lot on board and getting quite overloaded and overwhelmed, and then expecting something to happen because of that. And I said, you know, when you're listening to too much, it's taken in too much information, and our brains can go a little bit into overload. And this is why I find that it's, you know, keeping a handful of readers, maybe 5, who you resonate with, who their stuff has, it sort of has developed. You've seen it play out, you know, and then think, right, okay. But again, that can change. You know, somebody you resonated with last year might not resonate with you now, and that's all okay, because we are constantly changing. And this is, you know, what we need to understand. I think working with spirit, I think tarot or whatever, it's to help us grow. And you know, sometimes, you know, I can go periods where I don't even pick the tarot cards up for myself. You know, I don't even ask for guidance, because everything just flows. But then there's times when it's like, right, okay, there's a little bit of a stuckness here. How do I get through this? And I will look for advice, or I will listen to other readers, you know, but I take it not with a pinch of salt, because that's kind of cheapening it and devaluing it. And I do feel a lot of the readings are very, very valuable, even if it's not fitting with your situation. There's always a pearl of wisdom in everybody's reading, I feel, you know. So if we can take that pearl and think, right, okay, I'm going to keep that there. I'm not going to rely on it. And I'm not thinking that pearl is going to change my life, but I'm going to take it on board, you know, and then see how I can empower myself. And that is, I think, again, with tarot, I don't want to repeat myself, but I feel with tarot, with working with spirit, it's not about just, you know, is he going to call me next week? You know, what is going to happen? It's about, right, how can I get to a point where I don't need to ask that question? Is he going to call? Where really, if he does, great. If he doesn't, great, because I'm moving on and I'm moving forward and I'm stepping into my spiritual evolution. And that is how I think tarot should be taken. So does that make sense? No,
100%. I mean, you actually just hit on what's really interesting here is right now my ears are plugged inside of my room recording this here, and that's my sign for an angel's in the room. It's very interesting here. There's an angel in the room with me right now, so that's a good thing. But yes, absolutely, you actually hit on something that I was literally, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say
psychic, Mark.
There you go. It's yes, we as human beings, we crave that affection and we crave that relationship just off the bat, absolutely. But what you said was very important in terms of a lot of readings, you know what I mean? They sometimes tend to deal with the other person, which is
Yes.
okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But when we
Yeah.
binge watch and we watch reading after reading after reading, and literally like you find yourself all day long listening to different readings, one, you
Yeah.
don't learn anything, I feel.
Yes.
Two, you are then maybe seeking for an answer at that point.
Yeah.
And then three, I mean, it's like the other person, it's always about the other person. When are they going to come? When are they going to come?
And
Well,
that's when
we
the
need
cross
to look
watching
within.
as well, I think, can get quite unhealthy. When people cross
Yes,
watch,
absolutely.
so they're not reading their reading, they're not listening to their reading, they are listening to who they are wanting to know, or their boss or whatever, because they're trying to get the view from a different side. And again, within my readings, this is something I've unhealthy. I mean, I had, when we had the royal wedding, I had people messaging me saying, can you do a reading on Harry and Meghan and see, what is going to happen with their wedding? Is it going to last? And I said, I will do that when Harry or Meghan gets in touch with me. I'm not just doing it. I'm not just doing it for, and they haven't been in touch yet. But
Right.
yeah, I'm not just doing it for, sort of to appease the public, because I feel this, this celebrity status as well now, with the reality TVs and everything like that. And people are more interested in other people's lives than in their own.
Absolutely.
And, and you get cross watchers and they'll say, this is so wrong, I'm not doing that. And it's kind of, if you're going to look where I'm giving advice, or somebody else is giving advice to somebody who is dealing with you, you're probably not going to like what you hear, So it's
Hmm.
like I say, there's a lot of, there's so many different things, Mark, I feel, that can be unhealthy about this. And I'm not
Oh yes,
dissing these readings or spiritual readings or tarot at all. I mean, I feel them deeply. I feel them with every ounce of my being. It's my work. It's my purpose. I'm here to serve. But I also feel having it healthily, is it's got to be healthy, and it's got to be healthy for us, because dependence is not good. Holding on to an outcome is not good for us. Sometimes we need to just surrender, let go. And, that there is guidance there. We can guide people in the right direction, but sometimes answers don't come in the way we want them to, or in that clearer message. It's sometimes things have
absolutely.
got to pan out, and I always say this is why I have a thing with my clients, and I don't, unless they have a change in their circumstances, I don't encourage having readings very often. I kind of,
Yes,
right, okay, speak to me again in 6 months, because we need to let, nature and the magic work. There's timing is very, very different in the spirit world. And what
absolutely.
we want, we tend to, and I'm guilty of this myself, we want answers, and we want them now, and we want to know where we're going. But the thing is, if we know where we're going, if we know every single thing that's going to happen to us, from now until the day we take our last breath, where's the fun in that? It's, life is an
Absolutely.
adventure. And it's almost like, with an adventure, we don't have a plan. Sometimes we don't even know where we're going. We get on a road trip and we see where we end up. And I believe life is like this. And I believe if you take the guidance from spirit, you don't fully rely on that, then you have so much more fun, and you can gain so much more knowledge on the way as well. So it's believing in yourself. It's having not just the trust in spirit or in your favorite tarot reader, but building up that trust within yourself, so that whatever it is you are going through, you will get through it, and there will be light at the end of the tunnel as well.
Absolutely. I mean, beautifully said. I could have not said it any better. Absolutely. And it's looking within, and like it's so cliche, sometimes to always say that all the answers and everything that you need lies within. And
But
it's very
sometimes
cliche
I
to say
think
that,
people
but it's
ask the
true.
wrong questions, Mark. Sorry for
Absolutely.
talking over you there. I think the key is the answers are within us. It
Yes.
is. I mean, and I believe everybody. People say that we have a gift. I believe everybody has the ability to develop this gift.
Yes, they
And
do.
and that is it. But again, that takes time. But I feel a lot of times we are asking the wrong questions, or we have this, we believe that we know what is best for us rather than what spirit do.
Right.
And that is, I feel, the biggest downfall for all of us, myself included. We think, well,
Me too.
I want that in my life because that will make me happy, and spirit take it away. And we're like, but I wanted that. But it's often there is so much better, and nothing leaves us without anything better being replaced. And I think this is it. It's
Absolutely.
the trust. It's the trusting in spirit, trusting in ourselves, and trusting in the process of life as well. It's not, life is not linear. We will have ups, we will have downs, we will have sad times, we will have happy times, but this is all part of life. And in each one we grow. That is it. We need these experiences for growth. If it was happy all of the time and sunshine all of the time, we wouldn't rest. We wouldn't. And sometimes we've got to go into them little dark places, and we've got to get through them to develop strength within ourselves. And then, we feel empowered because we can look back and think, God, that was tough, but I done it, and that is it. That is what I feel, our work should encourage. People knowing that they can, not that they can do it on their own. I mean, we all need guidance. And the way I look at tarot is, to me, I see it like it's kind of a sat nav for our soul. So when we're lost, we can just tap in, and it can show us different directions and say, if you go this way, this could happen. If you go that way, that could happen. And again, it is our choice in which way we want to go.
Absolutely. And I mean, as I stated in a previous podcast that I just did on my own, I think I named it "The Intentions of Tarot." Was my own opinion and my own viewpoint upon it. And it's interesting that what you're saying is, because I said that in that podcast, was I stated like, tarot is just here to provide us with an alternative perspective. That's all that it is. And a lot of people, especially when they binge watch, they are looking for an answer. They want a certain answer. They want it within a certain frame that they want it. If that's even the case, regardless of that, it's just they haven't, how can I say it? They're searching for something. So then therefore tarot should not be yes, you should do this. Even I don't even like telling my clients, nor do I desire to say you should do this. I just give my clients what I channeled, what's coming through, and whatever their guides say. God knows who's behind me most of the time when I'm reading for people. But I just give the advice, and then I say, okay, I have presented you with an alternative perspective or perspectives.
And you have the choice.
You make the decision, because you need to trust in yourself to make whatever decision that it is that you feel that's best for you. That's all our job to do, is just to bring advice from the spirit realm.
Because
that's it.
I feel we always have options as well. And sometimes people don't believe that they do. So again, like you said, tarot can show us that there is another way. And once we have that, because I believe when we have hope, it's almost like, if you look at hopeless, people lose hope. And that is when they get in a situation where they're lost and they think there's no way out of it. But everything passes. Everything is transient, the good times and the bad. And like I say, sometimes we just need that hand to hold to guide us through it. But fundamentally, it is us that is going through it,
Yes, absolutely.
And like I say, I will get clients, or I will get people that watch my videos, and they'll say to me, well, you said in your video, or you said in that video that this is going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, but that wasn't a reading for you. And that was a reading, there's sometimes 9,000 people watch a video, it cannot relate to all of them, and yes, again, there might be that little pearl of wisdom. But it's almost like, I don't know, sometimes people, they do need to stand on their own 2 feet. And I feel this is where we can come in to kind of help them. They can put their arms on us. We can be their support to get them up. And then once they're up, it's like, right, okay, where are you wanting to go? What are you wanting to do? And I feel a lot of times, I don't know if this is going off topic, but it's almost like the problem is people don't understand themselves, so they can't understand life or the process. And by
Absolutely.
giving them that understanding, which the tarot does amazingly. I mean, I've been reading tarot for years and years, and every single day it teaches me to look at something in a different way. You know, it blows my
Yes.
mind daily. And I think, you know, this is what we do. We pass that knowledge on, and we give hope, but we give support during the tough times as well. And I think once people know there's the light at the end of the tunnel, or that things can change for the better, that is massively, massively empowering for them. But by watching 20, 30 videos a day, it's too much information to take in.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that when you start to watch, because I mean, I was guilty of it before I started my channel, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
I completely fell into tarot. I mean, I was like watching it because, you know, I was raised Christian, and I don't want to get into all that, but I was raised Christian, and I mean, I'm spiritual now, I'm not Christian, but I was in my room, like with my door locked, like, oh my God, okay, what does this reader have to say? Like, you know,
Yeah.
like thinking it was all that and all, you know, that was my past. But you'll start to see, at least I started to notice certain readers I was attracted to, certain
Yes.
messages I was attracted to. And I believe that everyone has to find that their group of people that they
Yeah.
are learning from. That's the most important part, I feel. If what is the reading leave you feeling like? Is it a good feeling? Is it a
Yeah.
feeling like you've learned something, you can write this down, you have goals to work on? Or does it
Yeah.
leave you feeling like, oh, he or she is not going to come back? Does it leave
Yes.
you feeling like you have been like morally, I hate to say this, but like morally raped? Because there
Yeah.
are some readers out there that are very forward, and they're
Yeah.
too emotionally invested in the reading, and it's not about empowerment. It becomes about tearing the person down, and that's on a whole other,
That
you know,
you
podcast.
know, one of the
I hate that.
I was very lucky because one of the teachers I had very, very early on within my spiritual journey taught me that delivery is key. And you can
Absolutely.
give somebody devastating news, and sometimes we have to, you know, and that is it. But it is how we say it. It is how we
Absolutely.
say it. It is, we need to then see how that other person is going to take it. You know, I mean, I actually lost a very, very dear friend to me. They'd been for a tarot reading, or they'd been for a reading. They were told something, and this person had health problems and everything. Anyway, they had a lot of problems, but they locked themselves away, and they had problems with alcohol, very bad problems. And whatever this reader had said, they wouldn't tell us. They threw the tape away, and they locked themselves away and stopped drinking. But that was very detrimental to them because their body was dependent on it. And within a week, we had lost this person because organs started to shut down. So that to me was, I'm not saying it was the tarot reader's fault by all means, but something was said that terrified this person. You know, it terrified them. And I think every reading we do, I was taught there should always be light at the end of the tunnel, even if it's going to be shitty and dark, you know, for a couple of years. You still need to know. And also, I feel within tarot, if we can dig in and understand why something is happening, then that can be massively empowering as well. Because when we can understand something, rather than thinking, why is this just happening to me? We need to look at, what is this trying to teach me? You know, and it's basically just looking at things from a completely new perspective. And this is where we will be able to tackle anything, because we're resilient. And when I said I'd had, you know, in the past, you know, where I had relied on tarot readers to give me guidance, one of the greatest things that I discovered with that was that by having so many different readings, by looking at, speaking to people on so many different vibrations as well, it was taking me away from my own intuition. And they
Absolutely.
were telling me things that I kind of knew within me weren't right. And I stayed in a situation probably 18 months longer than I should have, that was not healthy for me, that it was not helping me grow, that was not empowering me, and was making me very unhappy. But I was getting readings, and the readers would say, no, no, you just need to stick it. Things are going to change. This person's going to change, and all of that. And deep down, I knew that it wasn't. But none of them were telling me what I needed to know. They were telling me what I wanted to know, or what they thought I wanted to know. And, you know,
Absolutely.
it's not the same. What we want to know and what we need to know is very different. When I first read for a client, even, clients that have come back, I always say, can I do a general for you first? And I always start with a general, because that will tell us what they need to know rather than what they want to. And then their questions change by the time the general's done. They're looking at things differently already. They can start, oh, right, okay, that makes sense. So then the questions can change, and the questions can be actually a lot more valuable that they have at the end of the reading rather than what they've came into the reading with.
Absolutely. And I think that it takes a skilled reader to I don't want to even say skilled, but an experienced, let's say, an experienced reader to that your downloads come from a past life, you're remembering, whatever the case may be. Yeah. But when you are a type of reader, sometimes I find, even through my personal readings and personal clients, that they'll ask me a question, and then I'll let them know that I say, okay, I'm going to rephrase the question in a different way, in a different manner, so that then we can get as much information that we can.
Yes.
Like it's said a certain way, and then therefore we can get as much as we can from that.
That's what I said before. Sometimes it's that we're asking the wrong questions.
Absolutely, 100%. Like the yes or no questions. It's like, oh, am I going to get married? Am I going to do this? It's like, well, let's look at more of what current blockages are you experiencing that is keeping you from getting married, or from finding someone that you want to be with. Exactly. What is currently going like that?
Took the words out of my mouth there. That's the thing. Somebody, will I find love soon? And I always say, look, why don't we have a look at what is getting in the way of me finding love at the moment, and that's it. And that is where the empowerment, yes or no, we can say yes or no. That's it. There's no information. Whereas I feel tarot is there for us to dig. I love nothing more than, even when I'm sitting with my friends, we've been doing it this week, and where we use it as like a detective, and it's almost like we're digging deeper, and we're excavating, and we're finding that pearl of wisdom right at the bottom. We're finding that jewel, and then it's like, whoa, it's like a eureka moment, for me and for the sitter. It's like, wow, okay, right, we've really got something there, but we don't get that by just scratching the surface, and absolutely. I always say, I never paddle in the shallow end. I go deep straight away, because I think when we go deep, that is when we can find the treasure.
100%. I mean, and even in speaking of going deep, even in my general readings, not my weekly love readings, but the general readings are more like spiritual based in a sense, but my monthly generals, what I find there is it even amazes me to the point where I'll, like, for instance, I'll use tarot and oracle, and I just started to implement oracle into my readings. My guides wanted me to implement that, so I did, and I always trust them 100%. So I'll even, before I lay out the tarot cards, or I pop out the cards, because I pop out cards. Very rarely do I ever draw cards. Yeah. Because that's the energy, that's the vibration. Spirit's going to pop out what needs to be popped out. And my job is just to deliver. That's my job. Yeah. But
that's what I always say. I say I'm spirit's bitch. That's it. People go, I thought your reading was amazing. And I say, it wasn't mine. I'm the telephone line, the messages, and I give them out, and I don't retain. I think we've spoke about this before, Mark, where we don't retain the information because it's not our information.
Absolutely. Like, literally, the minute I stop recording, I have to name the reading. If I walk away from the table, I forget the whole thing. And then I'm like, damn, I have to listen to it over shit. Like, like that happens to me all the time. But regarding the oracle and the tarot, like, I'll pop out the oracle card first, and I'll ask for it face down, and then it'll be face down, and then I'll lay out the tarot cards. I'll go off my intuition, I'll channel messages, what's going through, and I'll flip over at the end. I'll flip over that oracle card, and it coincides with what I was saying and what I was getting.
Saying, always.
It's not about me being right. It's about that that when that happens, that's confirmation that that is the general message, and that that's what needed to be said and come out. And I'm just a vessel. I plant the seed. That's all I do.
Exactly. You know, that is what we are. You know, we're all of service. And, you know, this is why I think, you know, there's so many people doing it now, because the world needs it. You know, we all need this guidance. But exactly like you say, you know, we're vessels, and it's not just validation for us, it's validation for the sitter as well. If we can sit and say something to them, and then all of a sudden it is then showed to them again, then that makes them believe. And this is the thing, we need to believe, you know, where it's almost like Peter Pan. This is what I say, you know, it's like I believe, and I believe massively in spirit. I know how they have helped me on my journey, and they still continue to on a daily basis. And it's this trusting the process, trusting ourselves, trusting the tarot reader that we choose, and trusting that things will get better, you know. And everything is here as a lesson. There's no real negative and positive. I don't believe. I mean, I'm living on an island at the moment, a beautiful little island. And the other week it rained, and I went into this little local shop, and I said, "Oh God, the rain." And she said, "Yes, isn't it fabulous? The island needs it." And I thought, wow, you know, I seen it as a negative thing because I couldn't go and lie on a beach. Whereas people that have lived here years realize that, you know, the earth is scorched here. You know, they desperately needed that rain. So it's just, you know, our perception. And I, you know, I believe in, I'm a student of the Course in Miracles, and it's something that I've studied for a lot of years, and I still go back to. And one of the greatest things that stuck with me with that is that a miracle occurs when we change our perception from fear to love. And a lot of times when people are desperately searching, they're coming from a place of fear because they're scared of the unknown. Whereas the unknown can actually be absolutely amazing and so exciting, but it takes us out of our comfort zone. And sometimes our comfort zone is uncomfortable, and people want to stay there even though it's uncomfortable. So it's about embracing the unknown and embracing this adventure, which is life as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have not said it any better. Like literally everything that, like you're saying, it's literally, I think we're like psychically linking up or something right now, because everything that you're saying is what's about to come out of my mouth. 100%. Okay, just so to wrap this up, Tanya, from Tanya LoveBuddha Tarot, do you have any advice maybe for watchers that, you know, binge watch online, or maybe are finding it hard to get away from that, or what? Do you have any type of advice maybe from your end?
I would say maybe take notes. Take notes with everything that everyone that you watch, and then go back maybe a week or a month later and start marking them off, seeing which ones have came true, which ones you can resonate with at a later date. This will then show you which reader you resonate with. And then try and narrow it down, you know, even if, like I say, 4 or 5, and keep it to them. And this will eventually, I believe, it will eventually make you see that, because if you're picking the same readers, then they're obviously going to be ones that are telling you stuff that you want to hear as well, you know, that is good for you. And then you can sort of develop your own strength to move forward as well. I wouldn't rely on tarot. And from a business point of view, you know, I'm the worst business person going, because people will phone for a reading. I'll go, "No, sorry, you had one last week." You know, so it's not about the business. It's about looking at the integrity of the reader. It's looking at, you know, the humility as well, I feel, and seeing, are they heart-based? You know, is this showmanship? Do they want to take the credit and go, "Check me out, I'm all singing and dancing and I'm all these bells and whistles"? Or do you really feel that that reader is working from their heart? Because when you work from a heart base, you know, I feel this is when you get a deeper connection, you know, and this is when we, you know, the messages are very, I don't know what's the word. It's not, I wouldn't say important, I think valuable. You know, when we're working from the heart, when you are connected to spirit, and when it is your passion and your life's work as well, you know. So, and I think that comes across. I think when you watch closely, you can see the integrity of a
Yes.
reader. And it, you know, they don't have to. I always say within my work, I want to take the woo woo out of it. It's you know, yes, we're spiritual beings and we have this fifth dimension, but we're currently living on the third one, and we need to know human ways to get through things. And it's people that can bring that mix in. And you know, it's almost like the temperance card in tarot, you know, where
Absolutely.
it's, you know, a little bit of, you know, the spiritual aspect of it, the tarot, but almost common sense as well. You know, what brings balance into your life? Do you feel balanced after a reading? Not do you feel really good? Because I was talking to somebody the other day and they'd heard a reading for their sign, which promised all of this lovely stuff. And it said somebody from the past was going to get in touch with them, and they didn't. And this person was massively deflated, even though they were really, really excited after they'd heard it. So it's almost about keeping the balance here, you know, which is very, like I say, the temperance card. And it's almost taking things, not taking them as gospel, but thinking, okay, that's interesting. I'll hold on to that thought and I'll see if it pans out. But knowing that that thought or that outcome that you want does not define your happiness as well.
100%. Oh my God, beautifully said. I could not have said that better. I mean, the advice that I would give is, most importantly, intuition is felt. It's a
Yeah,
feeling. We need
yeah.
to, and this is coming from a Virgo sun here, you know what I mean? Like, get out of the head, not be so logical.
Yeah,
And this was a tough lesson for me upon my journey. You know, it's like, Mark, get out of the head, feel
yeah,
it. What does it feel like? And so that's why I think the most important thing is, how do you feel about the reading at the end? Do you feel like you've learned
yes,
something? Do you feel settled? Do you feel like you may have not got every single answer that you wanted, but if you gain some other type of enlightenment or knowledge about yourself, hey, there's nothing better than that. You know, getting things
that's it.
from a different perspective, and also feeling empowered and feeling like, hey, you know what? This is not so bad. Like, I got this. I got
I
this shit.
got this.
Like,
They were the exact words I was going to say to you there. It's like, I got this. You know, I spoke to somebody
yeah,
yesterday and they said to me, I feel like you've turned a light on for me. I can now see, I now know where to look because that light has been on. And, you know, when somebody comes back to you with something like that, I'm actually sitting getting goose pimples here as
yeah,
I'm saying
seriously.
it, you know. That is it. I'm not giving them the answers. I'm not. I'm kind of showing them where to look, but it's like, hold on, shine light on that situation first, and then it will be so much easier rather than looking in the dark.
Absolutely. I mean, we just hand them the flashlight and
Yeah,
they find their way out. And I think that's the best way to approach tarot, you know. But
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with a personal reading, because then you can get really down to your own personal
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're
situations.
massively valuable. You know, I wouldn't, like I say, I wouldn't dismiss them at all. They are so valuable, but it's almost like, you know, as I said before, we don't want to scratch the surface. You know, a lot of times,
Absolutely.
within the first three cards that I turn over, I know exactly where the block is from that person, and
Oh, me too.
often they're not aware of it. So it could be something that happened 10, 15 years ago that they're still carrying energetically and they're not sure of it. But unless they know that, they're looking in the wrong places for the answers. So it's almost like, right, okay, we're going to narrow this down. We're going to narrow the search down. And then we can, as I said, we can excavate. We can ask tarot, how do we get through this? How do we stop this? And these are the questions that I feel are valuable, that we should be asking. And also, us as readers have kind of a responsibility to
100%.
teach people about the right answers. You know, not just keep talking to them all of the time and for 3 years still talking about the same guy's going to come back and things
Hmm.
like that, you know, because that is not empowering the client. You know, because even if the cards were saying that after 3 years, I would say to a client, you know, you've had your life on hold for 3 years. You know, is that really what you want to do? You know, so it's almost like, you know, encouraging them to get on with their life, and whatever will happen anyway. But if they're sitting wanting this outcome that much, it's often like, you know, if we're swimming out to catch something, a lot of times we're actually pushing it away. Sometimes if we just sit back, if we trust, if we surrender, the tides will eventually bring into us what it is that we're desperately, frantically trying to swim over to get, if that makes sense, you know. But it's about trusting, and it's about surrendering and knowing that whatever happens is happening for us, not to us. You know, spirit don't want us to have a life of pain and misery. You know, they
Absolutely.
want us to be abundant, but sometimes we need to experience pain in order to push us through, you know, and that is when, you know, sometimes the pain will push us that far until we start to look at that vision and think, you know, we need to make changes. And again, that is when somebody comes to us. That is a great time to come. I need to make changes, but I don't know how to. And it's like, right, okay, let tarot show you the way here.
I mean, exactly. And I mean, I can even say, just wrapping this up here, is me as a reader, I know that a lot of the times one of my gifts, I mean, I have a lot of Pluto in my chart in terms of like certain placements.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of reader where I read and I really get into their subconscious. And some of the things that I say, they're like, okay, I don't really know. And I'm like, just listen. I got you. I got you. And like almost it never fails. About a month later, I get an email from a client. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I really do that. I never realized that I do that, or I never realized that that's
Yeah.
how situations go, and I respond like that. So a
Yeah.
lot of the times I can so relate to, like, listen to the reading again, take everything in, take notes, and hear what's going on. And so I can so relate to that, because I read people's subconscious, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'm even like, is that the right message? Like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess so.
And
Like,
I
okay,
think
so that's
listening, I think listening is key, Mark. You know, they say we have 2 years. We should listen more than what we speak. So listening,
absolutely.
you know, like I say, is seeing that it feels right, and you know, then thinking, because a lot of times, you know, it can tell us stuff that we don't want to know about ourselves. It's always, a lot of people like to blame, you know, and I'm guilty of this myself. But when we look at it, we always have to take responsibility for the part we have played in any situation. And I think, you know, tarot can do that in quite a gentle way. And this is, you know, within my readings, you know, people, as soon as you say to them, well, you're doing this, they're like, whoa, no, no. And they get very
Mm-hmm.
defensive. But if I just say, look, this isn't an attack, this is actually to help you, please listen. And once they can take that on board, and it's kind of, you know what, I could do this differently as well. And that's it. It's about, you know, and again, that is empowerment. Somebody, you know, pointing out to you, not what you're doing wrong, but teaching you how to do something in a different way. You know, because none of us do
Absolutely.
anything wrong, really. You know, it's just we don't know. And this is it, by being shown a different way to be, or of handling a situation or whatever, can dramatically change the outcome, because it changes the energy. As I said, you know, when we change our perception from fear to love, you know, miracles happen. And that is not in any way bullshit or anything. I've seen it happen with my own eyes on numerous occasions. And this is how I trust the process. Now, I've been
Absolutely.
shown,
Walking,
you know,
walking, living example of that. So
yeah,
100%. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. And I mean, I think that's why the name of my channel, I mean, I didn't come up with it. I was actually, oh my God, I don't want to mention this, but I was actually on the toilet when I came
right.
up with the name of my channel, as a lot of my insights come through at certain times.
Yeah.
You know, in the shower, on the toilet. Yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, that's why now that I'm, you know, becoming more an experienced reader, and, you know, I'm going through my own journey,
Yeah.
it's intuitive perceptions. And if you really think about it, I mean, I don't mean to rave on it, but it's your intuition mixed with your perception. And when you
Perception,
open up
exactly.
those gates,
You know, I just got
absolutely.
Love Buddha one night when I was asleep. Spirit said, right, okay, it's Love Buddha. And I was like, Love Buddha? And they went, yeah, you're coming from love and you're sharing wisdom. So I was like, right, okay,
There you
that's
go.
cool. I quite like it.
Absolutely. That was me too. And I was, you know, on the John, I was like sitting there, and I'm like, well, what am I gonna name my channel? Like, coming up with all these excuses, right? To not do it. And I'm so glad I did. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, I don't have a name. And all of a sudden I look to my damn left, and then all of a sudden I get intuitive perceptions, and I was like, oh, that's a cool name. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, damn it. Damn it. I was like, I got to my damn channel. Crap. Like, but here we are, you know, and we would have never met
we,
if
we,
it
we
wasn't for that
wouldn't, you know,
moment
but
as
I,
well.
I, I believe everybody, you know, every anybody by chance. Everybody holds a little piece of the puzzle, and I think this is the thing. Sometimes we need to just, and this is what I try to teach my clients is, as you said, get into your fields, but sometimes our head can be that loud and there's that much going on in it that we need to turn that volume down so that we can hear our soul speak.
Yes.
And that is, I think, again, and that is the listening, And
Absolutely.
a lot of people will say as well, I've been asking for signs and they're not showing me them, and I'll say, well, why don't you ask for you to be able to see the signs? Because the signs are there every single day, but sometimes we're looking, our vision is, we're looking in the wrong space for it as well, so there's never anything that sort of spirit are doing wrong. They're quite simple, in how they do it. It's just we think things should be a lot more complicated than what they are.
Us as humans, we expect to get an answer that's like, hey, John, make a left there. Hey, Chris, make a left. That's not how it works. Like, it's going to work differently. So we have to, it reminds me, I don't know, it just popped in my head right now, like the Eight of Wands, in tarot, where it's, if we don't slow down, we will never see the small details. And those small details is what amounts to the delivery of that guidance, and until, we are grounded enough and until we tap into our own intuition enough and trust the process, we won't get those, immediate downloads. We just don't recognize them.
Yes.
But instead of like those immediate downloads, we're like, oh, okay, I got you. Like, where we can decipher between us, spirit, our, I guess you can say, our guides, those different feelings. Unless we recognize that, then therefore they're going to use the clock. They're going to use certain colors. They're going to use certain synchronicities, and we have to slow down enough to catch them and to see them, because they're not going to say it like in a voice.
Think as well, I think, I don't know if you do this as well, Mark, but as a reader, throughout the years I've been reading, my readings have changed dramatically, but that is because I've changed, because of the teachings that I've been getting from spirit as well. And I believe every reading I give somebody, I take something away from that as well. But I have now developed a kind of language with spirit, so I understand them. We speak the same language. A lot of times when I'm doing mediumship, if somebody comes in and say they're I feel them on the left hand side, I know the left now is connected to the mother, so I will say this is somebody from your mother's side. So it's almost like they give us the stuff and we've got to do a little bit of detective work as well, and it's almost looking, when I do a reading, I put the full reading out and I look at it and then, right, okay, what is the story, rather than just reading each individual card as well. We can do that, but like I say, this is about the digging deeper. This is about being a detective. This is about, right, okay, we have an hour to get through this reading and I want to get as much information and clarity for you as possible, so it's and like I say, we've got to dig deep for that. And it's amazing, and I feel very, very blessed every day for the work that I do, if you can call it work, because it's not. But then when you get messages of people saying, what, my life, I just had one a couple of weeks ago, a client I've been reading for about 3 years, and they got in touch with me and just said, I'm just sitting and I'm in my dream house with my dream job. And I remember 3 years ago when I first contacted you, and I was a mess. I was on the floor, and everything, even down to where I'm living, was guided through you and through spirit. And I just want to say, thank you. And, that is just what makes it all worthwhile, Mark.
Absolutely.
It's very, very humbling, but
absolutely
at the same time.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Tanya, for joining me in this segment. It was wonderful. You are an insightful reader. I love watching your content. Oh my God, it's like thrilling. I love it so much. I'm just like, oh my God, what does she have for me? Okay, this is good. Every single month I tune in all the time. And yeah, thank you so much, Tanya. I really appreciate your time and your insights, upon this topic. But like I always say, God will be with us. Spirit, God, it's all encompassing. Will be with us through every single trial, tribulation, error, and experience. But ultimately, we must get out of our own way in order to allow their involvement. And ultimately, also, it is in the power of our own decision to allow their involvement.
Yeah.
We have to get out of our own way. Like, we have to, and it's tough. It's tough to get out of our own way, but when we do, that's when we immediately
that is when we get the ultimate rewards, isn't it? That's, you know, we get freedom, we get liberation, you know, and we can regenerate
100%.
as well. And that is beautiful. And to watch somebody go through that process is just, like I say, I've got a smile, you know, from year to year here, you know, when I'm thinking about it, because it is, and it's so exciting, and it's almost like watching your child walk for the first time, you know. It's like that. I get so excited when I see my clients moving on, and it's like, yes, this is amazing, you know, fantastic.
I know.
So yeah, we're very, very blessed, Mark, and thank you for inviting me to do this talk as well. I hope it's helped some people.
100%, Tanya. We met very interesting as well, but
yeah,
we'll leave that for another podcast. That's a whole other podcast in itself. But all right, Tanya, I'd like to thank you once again for joining me on this segment, and I hope everyone listening, you enjoyed this segment. And don't worry about the timing when it was recorded. This will reach you when it's meant to reach you, and that's the most important part. All about divine timing and allowing that timing to come through and to present itself and to manifest itself as well within our life. All right, Tanya, thank you so much, and we'll see ya.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.